They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh my goodness, let's see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.
You can't take the helm and be having all this dead air. Where you at?
I'm trying to pull the thing off.
Geechee. You gotta pay the cost to be the boss, man.
I'm doing it.
This is.
I can't even see y'all. Can y'all see me?
Yes,
no,
we
you
looking
gotta
right
take
at
the,
you.
you gotta. I can't see.
I'm trying to take the thing off. It won't come off. There we go.
Oh Lord. Geechee.
Yo.
You ain't paid the cost to be the boss.
Hey man, my finger got stuck. What up, yo?
Oh, pause.
Yo, man.
Already, man. We ain't even started yet.
Oh, Skip, you gotta unmute yourself.
What's up, Skip?
Hey, what's happening with you, Jared? What's up, Diallo? What's up, Geechee?
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
All right, man.
I see they try to bring in my replacement. That's why
Because you ain't supposed to be here today.
I know.
Yeah.
I had
It's
to
like
jump
clerks.
in from the airport.
You're not even supposed to be here today.
I mean, since you're here, we might as well do your rap battle that you and Skip gonna have the battle for your spot. So you know.
No, let's loudly discuss our support for Palestine. So NSA, can come put Jared in a headlock. Let's start off the day with that topic while he's in the airport.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. I can't battle Skip. If I got to battle Skip for my job, I'm getting replaced.
Damn.
So we need another. I need another method. Otherwise, I feel set up. That's not fair.
I mean, the way Diallo and his Chicago goons, the way they was moving this weekend.
Oh, I tried to warn the community. I tried to warn you. I told y'all I'm a secular prophet. I tried to hip y'all to what these people, what direction.
That's what that was, a warning.
You know, yeah, it's secular prophecy. But nobody want to hear you. But y'all don't hear me though.
I think one of the leaders of I don't know what they call themselves, the one who be reading. They tell you to read the scripture, so then they can speak, and they say read it again.
Yeah.
Like 2 minutes later, he got into some action and his eye was dripping. I was like, wow. So it didn't work out for him too well.
But y'all saw they was in. Y'all saw when they did that fight in Kansas City, where it was two factions of Hebrews set up next to each other, and they got into a fight over a folding chair, and the Hebrews won. Oh, you didn't see that Kansas City battle? See, they was feeling themselves.
Give us some links, man. What you
see? Hebrew War 1 was won by the Hebrews. Hebrew War 2.
When was this?
It was earlier this year.
Well, apparently they all came together to make their numbers look bigger for the Chicago pro-Palestinian protests. And they came from different cities, and they, it still wasn't, a large number, but so apparently they stopped beefing just for this one. They in solidarity against Palestine. So
I listen, like when I called Kwabanahu on here, that's what I was like, man, they got, but here's the thing with the hood, this is all the black community's fault. Y'all want to put it on the Hebrews, but remember when the purple scripture eaters went on that huge march and they were talking about defend our women, defend our children, and all over the internet, black folks were saying we need more of this.
Wait a minute. I've never heard that one before.
Y'all
The
see
purple
this?
scripture eaters.
Listen. Oh, I thought you never heard of Hebrews.
This
No,
dude is a
I'm-
menace, bro. He is a pure menace, and he must be stopped.
Me?
Yes.
I'm not the one giving validation to genocidal campaigns, settler colonial campaigns. What's the opposite of a menace? I'm the calm
savior.
after the storm. Okay, yes.
Let me find me a link. You got a link for the Hebrew joint? Let me find one right quick, so we can
I
tell the
have
people. What to do.
man, they be
But
scrubbing
Skip, how
this
you
in the-
doing, my man? Real quick,
Google
just
is
while we're getting
broken.
this set up, shout out to you again. Students are still appreciative of your visit to the class. I think you've picked up a few new fans along the way. You know, so I hope all is well.
Yeah, nah, man.
This is my future replacement.
I had a good time.
Oh, there it is.
I had a good time. It's all, after you reach our age, you find yourself forgetting the age that you once were. You know what I'm saying? So to be sitting there with people that are thinking differently is just a reminder of like, oh, look at this progress and look at this work that we had to go. So it's a cool thing.
I was looking for your homeboy Diallo. I didn't see him out there, but we have some of Diallo's Black Hebrew Israelite crew in infiltrating a protest. But I don't know if y'all saw most of the video, but it looks like the cops were protecting them more than they claimed that they was, and it was very interesting. But I'll play this.
What before you play it, can I ask a couple questions?
Absolutely.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. So the real Jews were protesting against the Palestinians in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Say that one more time.
All right. I'm just trying to make sure I understand because, it's kind of like I came in the middle of something, and I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So let me ask y'all this. So, lastly, I will make sure I understand, Geechee. You just said that the American domestic military was protecting the real Jews against the Palestinians in Chicago.
It looked I mean, my eyes could be twisted up a little bit. It looked like the police was having a wall so that they could be protected. They actually even had one. I guess one of them called the ambulance or the medic, and the medic came to help his drippy eye. So I mean, I don't know. It just looks like they had some more support than they would claim.
Okay, so after this, I want to make sure that that's what we see, and then I have another question.
Let's play this right quick. You can see the cops over there with them. So one of the things that was constantly said is like, y'all don't need to be over here defending land. Y'all need to go over there to Israel and then fight Israel over there. Now, the real Jews is saying that the real occupiers of Israel are in Chicago telling the people who are standing for Palestine that y'all need to take that fight over there. And I don't know if they ever came to the conclusion that they should be over there trying to get their land too, but That's how it was. And so I do have a clip that I pieced together and I can show later, but
Well, here's the thing I think we get confused about a lot of these black militant cults where you say they should be over there fighting, whether it's the Nation of Islam or the Black Hebrew Israelites or the various factions. They are salvationist cults. So despite all the militant rhetoric, even when they arm themselves, even when they have paramilitary training, when you read their literature, you find that their ultimate salvation is going to come from a divine act, that God is ultimately going to free us. God is going to ultimately come and pass judgment on our oppressors, on the white devils, on the white man, on America, on the what they call the synagogue of Satan, the fake Jews. So despite all this militancy, all this rhetoric, all this physical aggression, their plan with all that militancy, all that chest thumping, is no more aggressive or no more practical than the average slave Christian. One day the Lord gonna come from on high and save me. So actually, according to what they believe, it makes sense for them. They actually teach, once of all the lost tribes and all the lost people are awakened, their job is to awaken us. And then when we are awakened, then God will come back and free us. We don't free ourselves. So these are not liberationist organizations. They're salvationist organizations. Sit and wait is their ultimate goal, or pray and wait, or march and wait, or chant and wait. But ultimately, waiting for God to act is their ultimate solution.
so it sounds like you did make a distinction between liberation theologists.
There's no such thing as
Wait,
liberation theology.
I'm just saying. It sounds like you just made a distinction between. It sounds like you made a distinction between. There's a group that have religious and spiritual beliefs that actually organize and move, and then there's those that pray and wait about it.
Which ones actually organize and move?
Listen. If you listen to Boy Cooking on Wednesday night, he broke down all the ways that capitalism can influence a thing that has a good root. He talking about science, and he was saying how capitalism can influence science to say things that it doesn't mean, and all you had to do was swap out religion, and we at the same point. But you can't do that with him. You just gotta let him believe that, because it ain't.
I have no beliefs.
Okay.
Only what can be known.
Okay, all right. So
just real quick, can I just ask? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Geechee. Just real quick, I just want to ask. When you say there's no liberation theology, so I'm just curious. You've engaged the work of James Cone and other liberation theologists, and concluded, having dealt with their approach, that it is still insufficient. I just want to be clear.
I am familiar with James Cone. I am mostly familiar with the Catholic, because I mean, liberation theology is really, that's the thing. We try to spill over into other belief systems and other religions, but ultimately liberation theology is a Catholic offshoot. The Catholic priest and Catholic, or at least from my point of view, and it mainly was centered around Latin America. And all I understand, and some people have applied liberation theology to Dr. King and other theocratic or theologians who engage in politics, but ultimately, y'all want to make it's all liberation and no theology. When we look with the few liberation theologies I look at, they have to not only diverge from the dominant church or the dominant structures, they don't get supported by the dominant church and dominant structures. So even like Malcolm X, in order to be a good revolutionary, you have to be a bad Muslim. In order to be a good revolutionary, you have to be a bad Christian. In order to be a good revolutionary, you have to be a bad Hindu. So much of the liberation components in liberation theology are people going against their church, going against their faith, going against the religious hierarchies.
So
you can talk.
I think in Central and South America, there might be some arguments that beg to differ, right? But Yeah, and actually, I'm probably if the stars align, I'm probably going to try to do some research work on the difference between liberation theology in a place like Nicaragua versus the United States. And I do think there's a drastically difference, but I will agree in terms of the Black Hebrew Israelite, particularly the ones here, or I'm sorry, there where you at. Definitely are probably to pray and wait about it and talk about it type brothers. But I want to play this clip too real quick. And they're actually saying some pretty atrocious things in this clip.
Who's they?
Your boys.
Oh, damn.
Oh. In the Bible, right? The Most High is cutting off Gaza in the Bible. Right. But everybody wants to say, I'm not praying for the Palestinians, pray for the Ukrainians, pray for these Israelis. We're not praying for none of y'all, man. Pray for the black man. Pray for the Hispanic man. That day may possess the remnant of Edom. And the Lord said we're going to possess the remnant of these other nations, man. Especially the Ishmaelites. I mean, they're waving these flags. They're praying to a false god, man. But I pray they keep getting destroyed over there in that Middle East, man. I pray they keep getting destroyed over there in that Middle East, man. I pray they keep getting destroyed over there in that Middle East, man. It's only a few of us, man. The Lord comes for us, man. Lord, they're safe. Save, touch not mine anointing. Say what? Touch not mine anointing. Say what? Touch not mine anointing. Say what? Touch not mine anointing. Hey, the Lord said don't touch his anointing, man. That's right. That's right, man, because the Lord God is touching the land. That's right. Right, you got little babies over there dying, getting their heads chopped off.
Allied themselves with the Zionist settler colony.
How do y'all fit in with that relationship and the settler colonialism that's happening there? Like what how do y'all approach that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we call it the Gay Ula, the redemption. And so you know, there's a law in the books in Israel called the law of return. And under that law, and I'm gonna get to your question, under that law, you have people who come from India, you have people who have come from China, you have people who come from all over the world claiming their Jewish quote unquote heritage and have been accepted readily. The European presence, even the African presence with Babylon, you know, because the Babylonians, the Sagiga people were African people. When you're dealing with Nebuchadnezzar and them, and you're dealing with Ahasuerus and King Darius or Darius, you're dealing with African people there. I'm kind of taking a long route to answer your question, but to contextualize this historically is so important. Well, the reason I say I don't have a dog in that fight is because, again, the Ashkenazim, who are Turkish people, and there's a letter from one of their kings named Joseph in the 600s who said that we come from Togarmah. You can like smirk and everything, but the historical reality and precedent of this is unquestionable. It is unquestionable. And this is where we have to really examine this matter thoroughly and not just take a religious mindset. If you're looking at it religiously, yeah, you're going to get twisted. You're going to get messed up. When you look at this prophetically and you look at this in a sense that is going to really allow us to make sense of what's going on and why these things are going on, because this stuff was told that it would happen.
First of all, I want to put a pin in where you said don't look at it religiously, look at it prophetically. And so I would like to engage you about where you can find prophecy outside of religion. But what side do you take politically?
I take the side of the righteous, brother. I take the side of truth. I take the side of the right side of history, right? And so one thing I want to just clarify, you bring up Dr. Clark, I will bring up Kwame Nkrumah and his Conscientism book, and he talks about any revolution has to have a spiritual impetus as well. Without a spiritual impetus, you know, you can't really move forward ideologically, because what will truly unite the people is the spiritual center and that paradigm that allows for humanity to transcend their humanity.
And the true inhabitants are?
If you were listening, you would hear that I said it is us.
Your brother Shebaniah, correct?
Correct.
Has been there for over almost 2 decades.
Almost.
And within Kansas City specifically, but here in Chicago, I know several people who have returned, who have and currently are citizens of Israel. So
the option of the right of return, as you mentioned, which is political, the right of return. So your people are returning to that land. But what is curious about that is when Black Hebrews return to that land, they don't return there in a neutral stance. They return there as citizens of the state of Israel.
So we know that there's still rules that we have to play by in order for us to get to a place where we can actually establish our liberation.
Yeah, but we didn't volunteer to be in the United States to fulfill the prophecies they believe are real. They have made peace with and made, as you said, concessions with, and essentially allied themselves with the Zionist settler colony.
You just don't read, beloved.
So let's start with Skip and then go around the horn. All online, you see people saying, great, they should fight. They should kill themselves off, right? And I guess they're supporting of Israel. And they were like, these two enemies, they should kill themselves off. Great, right? Let the Black Hebrew Israelite fight the Palestinians and tear each other up so we can, come to smooth sailing. But what's some of your thoughts and even your reflections on what was just played? By all means, if people haven't seen the full video, you should see the video where Jared pull his card by actually reading the book and actually say no, that's not what it said. But go ahead. Skip, you first. You're on mute.
There are just certain things that I cannot suspend disbelief on, right? I grew up in a Baptist church, converted to an Episcopal church as a man, and our thing was always is rooted in faith, tradition, and reason. Everything stands on that three-legged stool, right? So what does faith say? Bible. What does tradition say? And what does reason say? There are just certain points when there things happen that I don't see any tradition or reason. I also can see how they can arrive at certain conclusions reading the scriptures, right? But the problem is that if you read enough of the scriptures, and again, you use your concordance, right, to recognize how the English language is not old enough to capture what people mean when they're telling these stories. Also, when you recognize that a lot of the stories of the Bible are just that, stories. And they are reflective of a political reality that those people were living in. And because of that political reality, their God behaved in a certain way. When things were okay, God was very gracious and very kind. When they were oppressed and unhappy, fire and brimstone was going to rain down, and things were going to change, right? Like, so if we understand that, when you know what the Jewish people were historically, you read the Bible as like really a work of historical fiction. I don't believe for 1 second that pigs ran into the water and drowned themselves because they were filled with demons. Like, I have no evidence that ever happened. I have not seen any historical documentation of a mass exodus of people out of Egypt, right? I definitely don't believe a man held out a stick and they crossed a river on dry land, right? But none of that takes away from the teachings of Jesus, right? And these folks are having an argument that is not rooted in anything other than what they would like to be true. And as a result of that, I just can't have a conversation with them because I don't really know what they're talking about. The other piece that I will add, and I hope it fits here, is that their insistence of ignoring historical fact makes it really hard to believe that they're even having a good faith argument. Because if we can't agree that certain things are true, then there isn't much that we can work on. And I will also, and this, I promise this is the last thing, and I also add that I have not found yelling at people and calling them names to ever be an effective strategy for teaching somebody.
There you go. So one of the things that I also would agree with if you are saying that you want to study the Bible and you want to do these things, the Strong's Concordance is probably a good idea, right? Because you have people who literally will say that the Bible said you should hit your kid with a rod, spare the rod, spoil the child. Which I saw, it was a firm thing. Example would be if you tell your baby to go to bed at 7, right? When 7 come, don't let them go at 8. Like, be firm in your, But anyway, but one of the things, and Jerry, you can respond to this. One of the things that was said, I know somebody asked, like, what would he saying? He said he prayed that they keep getting destroyed over there in Israel, and then he also said God is touching the land, i.e., why the babies are having their head chopped off, and the clowns start clapping. They're like, hey, like it's anyway. But Jared, go ahead. And you can
Well, honestly, I don't want to talk too much. I know it's loud. It doesn't sound right, and I'm not supposed to be here anyway. But I just want to agree a lot with what Skip, particularly with what he concluded with about how we approach people if the intent is to build and to organize and not to chastise. But yeah, first of all, I just want to say, if you reading Conscientism is, particularly at the beginning for me, a difficult task. And we just concluded it in our AAPRP study group, our work studies circle. And I want to emphasize that Evelyn will be on here next week to talk with Diallo and us about religion, but I am the weakest link in that study circle. But even I am clear from the very beginning of Conscientism, he quotes, that is, Nkrumah quotes Marx and Engels to remind us that Marx and Engels said we're only talking about economics because that is the number one mechanism through which the social order is maintained. And then he goes on to explain, as I understand it, and Evelyn can correct me next week, or if they're in the chat, if she and Obi are in the chat now, they can correct me now. But he's very clear. The purpose of his argument is not to say we need spiritual approaches. He was saying we need a material approach to our spiritualism. So they have it exactly backwards. So to the extent that that flawed method is being applied to the study of history, religion, spirituality, politics, I mean, I'm concerned. And then we saw in the video where some of the outcomes of that confusion might result. So that's why it's very important that we have these groups. We build in sessions and groups and collectives like the four of us are here now, in organized spaces, BarterBuild, AAPRP, BAP, et cetera, and so forth. But that's the best way to study, even better than what we can do in our classrooms in the academic world. So that was it.
So Diallo, people are still kind of asking, like, oh, I don't know why we would bring that brother on here. What would be the purpose? I mean, could you kind of lay out your intentions in terms of bringing the brother on, your ideas of the dangers of Black Zionism in our community and across the globe? What's your thoughts?
I think the Black community as a whole and the conscious community specifically have been plagued by cults. And just as one cult fades into obscurity, we always have a new cult emerging. And I think one of the best ways to challenge cults, aside from screaming at them and making fun of them, is to allow them to articulate their platform in places where they can be challenged. Because most of these cultists, I had another brother who had a spiritual philosophy that I was supposed to interview. And he told me, I thought because you were a vegan and you talked all that environmental stuff, I thought you were spiritual. I thought you were into metaphysics because you're a vegan. And I said, nah. And he's like, I'm not coming on your show to talk to you, but I do invite, fanatics and spiritualists and the theocratic on, because I think self-exposure in a critical space, because most people of faith are accustomed to speaking in safe spaces, protected spaces. You know, when you go to these holy places, there's no engagement, there's no discord, there's no debate. There's the holy man up front telling you what to think, and then that's that. So I knew that for years now, I've been talking about the emerging strength of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. It is a particularly proto-fascist movement, and nothing appeals to wayward, discarded, discouraged Black men, but men in general. There's a growing fascism overall in the United States, a growing right-wing reactionary fascism in the United States, and Black men particularly are not immune to that, especially when you can flavor it with some Black spirituality, Black militancy, and an aesthetic that is very appealing of hyper masculinity or alpha male masculinity. So that's why I brought him on. You know, the brother contacted me and said he felt like he was set up, which I've had him on my show before. That's just absurdist. I think he thought he could perform well under these conditions, but that's my main reason. Particularly, this is Black Zionism, which is an issue, but an even bigger threat within our community, Black cultism and Black irrationality. But I also want to say about him, because everybody want to challenge, everybody loves the Bible till some biblical shit happens. I don't buy into the whole, we've misinterpreted the Bible, we haven't properly translated the Bible, because the more accurate the translation becomes, the more absurdist it is. The more absurd it is. We got languages much older than any
people
language.
can still misinterpret stuff, though.
I think that's a escape route, because nobody wants to deal with the atrocities that are advocated in the Bible, the incest, the talking dragons.
Again, but like when you said nobody, you're making a blanket statement. You got somebody here that will. You got multiple people you know that will address it. And what I'm saying is, in particular, the spirit of rod spoil the child shit is literally said, him that loveth his child.
Man, and then you go,
let me finish.
Man,
versus him that hateth his child spares the rod. So when they say that in the book, and then somebody say, oh, the Bible just saying spare the rod, spoil the child, that's literally misquoting what the damn Bible said.
Listen, well, in that same book, you also find
we're not talking about the other verse. We're just talking about a particular verse.
No, the book. Listen. The Bible is primitive superstition, medieval doctrine, pushed through modern indoctrination systems.
So
it is a bad thing. It's a bad thing, and then we try to provide cover. Because a book that tells you that you can kill your children, that tells you your children and your wife are property, tell you that you're born in sin, and say that the world will burn and purge, and that God's going to torture the vast majority of us for all eternity. And then we want to dance around, well, there's some misinterpretations here.
No. See how you conflating stuff?
Yeah. Geeksy, one sec. This Arlen Chambers, I hope I said your name right. Says, spot on, Diallo. Challenging conversation is not allowed in the church. I always wonder why as a kid. And I think this is just a fascinating sentence, because one of the main reasons that I stopped going to church is because I didn't care if it wasn't allowed. If you telling me a thing, I'm in Bible study with questions, and I expect you to respond to my questions, even as a child, right? So I absolutely recognize how some people, like most people, and this is no elevation of myself, but most people operate in safe spaces. You can just walk out into the middle of the street in a vest and start directing traffic, and people will do what you say do. Why? Because human beings are just going to follow the rules, whatever those rules are. I've seen it done. We've had people that were mentally ill directing traffic, and the cars were just abiding by what they said. People don't tend to ask a whole lot of questions. I think that's a problem of the human condition, not necessarily a problem of spiritual beliefs.
Next week, I'm getting a vest and going out in the street. We're going to demonstrate this live on EYL.
Yeah, but I think that I think it's disingenuous to say that someone who's acting under municipal authority or even pretending to act under municipal authority falsely is different than someone saying they're acting under all-knowing, omnipotent,
Listen,
divine authority.
bro.
And we try to act like, well, hey, everybody does it. Religion holds for itself. Religion, theology, spirituality holds for itself a very particular place. Because if I sit here and say I'm a Marxist, then it traces back to a man that we all know is flawed. And like you said, we don't all operate in safe spaces. Some people don't have safe spaces to run to, don't have protected tax exempt status. So we all don't have the same level and the same type of safe spaces. Some places, some things you can debate. Other things, if you're in the wrong place, you get your tongue cut out for questioning or mocking. I've been threatened. I've never been threatened for calling and critiquing meat consumption as a vegan. I've never been threatened for even calling down capitalism as a socialist. I've been threatened for critiquing religion. So no, it ain't everybody got safe spaces or everything gets articulated in safe spaces.
Vegan activists don't get threatened, is what you're saying?
I said
you talking about you.
Said I.
So we're not talking about your subjective experience. We're talking about
it's not a
get
subjective,
right?
it's my literal objective experience. You can even go online and look at my posts and look at the comment section and how people respond when I talk about cult leaders or cults or religions versus when I talk about tell people to get off the swine.
Again, any person can find an echo chamber. All you got to do is want it, and you can find you one. That's all I'm saying. People operate in safe spaces the same way that I was always talked to as a youngster, talking about Malcolm X by elders in my community. Well, why he never come to the South talking like that? Right? And that's a fair question. Malcolm wasn't in Mississippi talking about that.
He was in the South. Malcolm was in the South.
Where? The South where?
Miami.
That's not the South.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Right, let's remember.
But I just want to say, I think actually you're making a good point. I think you're making a very good point. And he was on his way to meet with King. He did go to King in the South, and King was locked up. And he built with Coretta. But I think in general, you make a very good point.
Where the King?
One of the reasons why King, but the flip side is it took King going to the North to realize the complexities of what he was having to deal with.
Where specifically did King say was the most aggressive, where he encountered the most? Exactly.
Chicago.
Right here. And that famous photo where King got a bricks ricocheting off his forehead, that wasn't in the South. That was up here, up north.
Hey, I've sat down with white folks from South Boston. I know what it is. I know what it is. But I think Skip makes I still think Skip makes a good point, specifically about any of us can find an echo chamber.
Yes, that. Anybody can find an echo chamber, but again, where we're talking about where it's set up, academia, as it's structured, it's not it's a place that invites discourse. The sciences, politics is a place that invites debate and discourse. In most places, there are formal and informal spaces for this. Amongst religion, if anything, the only discourse you get in religion is the hierarchy debating amongst themselves how many angels can fit on the head of a needle. But, it's generally a tax-exempt safe space that doesn't invite, and that will tell you can be condemned to hell, eternal hellfire for doubting, let alone debating.
Well, we know who's not going to hell. Kanye is not going to hell. And I wonder if Northwest is committing class suicide. What y'all think? So Northwest says she don't want to live with her mama. She want to live with her daddy because her daddy don't have a nanny. He don't have a chef. He don't have security. And he lives in an apartment, not no big ass mansion.
Does he still have $1 billion?
I don't know if he got his Billy still. But what you say, Diallo?
I thought we were going to talk about his assessment of
Israel.
I don't care nothing about Kim Kardashian. She's been caught in several lies. And you know, there are several instances where we have multimillionaires and billionaires cosplaying poverty. You know, Kanye every few years comes here to the south side of Chicago and talk about how he's going to move back here to the south side and never leave again. And everybody's like, oh yeah, the south side, big things are coming to the south side, Don Foundation and all that shit. So Kanye's cosplaying poverty. This young lady thinks that not having a nanny is the real world. Simply the absence of a private chef and the absence of a nanny is like real world experience. I wouldn't listen to nothing.
And security. She said we don't need no security.
Oh, and security, and therefore she's just like everybody else. So no, I'm pretty sure that apartment, because I mean I've been in Manhattan, I've been to some apartments that you can fit half a dozen houses in.
Thank you. First, I'm sorry to cut it. I don't want to jump in, but I grew up in an apartments, and I don't like when other people abuse that term by saying they did the same thing. It's not the same. It's not the same. I agree with that. I'm offended.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we don't have a driver. We have to drive our own Bentley instead of being chauffeured. We're just like everybody else. Stop playing. You play around. So, you know, I mean, if my wife was behaving and speaking like Kanye, I would definitely call for supervised visitation. Shit, let alone
not me, because my wife not me, because my wife makes all the money, so I would fall right in line and be like,
"Oh, you'd be out there." I'd be out there
like,
Hitler.
we
love Hitler, baby.
Wait.
You be sitting there next to her on Nick.
Was one of y'all going after the child just now?
Nick Fuentes.
Was one of y'all going after the child?
Huh? Man, let me tell you something.
Did you say something bad about their children?
No, you did. I thought you did.
I said,
listen. Man.
I said the baby was committing class suicide.
If y'all don't shut up about Northwest, Blue Ivy, and defending, these people walk out their house and stepping over babies and sleeping on the street. And they listen. Class consciousness. Them kids don't need. They got hired security. They don't need you. They're child. You know, yeah, I'm talking about Northwest. She needs to shut up. You know, Blue Ivy, all of them Nepo babies.
And this week, let's give who is that? ZZ Bell. Let's give her the mic when if you want to come on, you can kind of.
Zenza Bell is a legendary activist. So if she wants to jump up here,
I'm talking about that child. I'm talking about that child. Hey, let me tell you something. I don't care nothing about no Northwest. And let me tell you this. If somebody came to my house and interviewed my son, y'all could be like, man, gone somewhere. Especially if he's on there talking nonsense. If a child talks nonsense, we get to call it nonsense.
Not if it's mine. You better let them speak their
child's
mind.
Place.
Let them get away with it, and then. No, I'm just playing. But Zenza Bell, the only thing wrong with Zenza Bell, the only flaw with Zenza Bell is her close relationship with Kamau. That's the only that's her only flaw. She likes Kamau.
All right, so, y'all want to bring up
since children alone. Before tell these kids to leave us alone.
Before we leave Kanye,
kids to leave us alone. They interviewing these kids and these international publications. You buy a Beyonce ticket and you got that girl up there, in the way.
Before we leave,
rich kids, these Nepo babies to leave us alone.
Before we leave Kanye, we'll bring her on instead of wait till the end. So
Ice Cube's kids ruining all my movies.
Hey, speaking of kids, Diallo, you got that video of your son role playing you? Because I think he's you better than you.
Yo, your Halloween, your family Halloween is hilarious.
I worked hard on my costume.
Your costume was weak because all you do is go after Kanye. You do that every year.
Come after us. I'm defending my people.
But nah, you don't got the video of your son doing your show for like. Oh, well, find it for us.
I'll send it.
Give us a link while we wait for Zenza Bell.
Hey, while we're doing that, I want to say again, because I don't get to rock with Skip enough. I just want to say again, that all jokes aside, it is an honor for me to get to be on screen and build with literally one of my top 5 MCs. So I don't be playing when I say how much I appreciate, Skip, your work. We rock it in the car all the time. My daughters know your work. I talk about you in class all the time. My students, I'm getting points to this day because I've been claiming you and you showed up in the room. So I hope people understand that when you show up here with Diallo and try to balance his nonsense, you know what I mean? You have a catalog that people need to check out, man. So I just wanted to, while we segue in here, I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
Thank you. Now because I can say this, y'all need to meet Diallo's son. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I met him in Atlanta.
Hey,
Listen,
let me tell you.
I met him in Atlanta too, but they were
hilarious.
quiet. They were quiet. I didn't get the
No,
full. I didn't
no,
get the
he ain't
kids
quiet.
the full.
You
You
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
talk to him.
You gotta talk. He ain't quiet at all. No.
Look, let me tell you something. I asked Diallo's wife and his son, like, how do y'all deal with this? And this man just started going off about how his dad is always moving the goalposts, how he can't be trusted, how he gets loud when he thinks he's wrong.
Zenzabel,
Hold up. I literally knocked over my luggage.
Father.
we're gonna play this clip real quick and then we're gonna bring the sister on.
I'm a black father. That's all you need to say. You don't need to go into detail.
Hold on, black father. Hold on. You gotta skip this stuff. Skip it. There we go.
Good evening and welcome to the Bro Diallo Show. And I'm sure we have a lot of people and a lot of young black youth dressing as Oprah Winfrey or Tyler Perry, the pinnacle of black excellence. We can show that they're just as good as the white man. They can oppress just as well as the white man. They can take from their community just as well as the white man does. I'm sure peace and prosperity. Thank you, brother. And I'm sure we're going to be able to. I'm sure we'll see plenty of examples, plenty of people doing dressing as even LeBron James or the late. I'm not going to speak on the dead. I want my karma to be well. I don't want to do too much, to go too crazy out there. Happy Halloween.
He said, "Cut the shit." He said, "Cut it, Diallo." And y'all still playing. He said, "Cut it."
I think he did you a favor because you way harsher on the dead than your son. Hey,
Speaking of sons,
my costume was better. My costume was more better.
So
it's just bias and hatred. And instead of people just focusing on the art,
oh man,
just focusing on the
dude,
art.
you lose every year though. You lose every year.
No, I won last year. What you talking about? I won last year.
What's up, Zenzi?
Zenzi, how you doing?
How is it to be a person and to exist in this world with literally only one flaw? Only one flaw.
Okay.
Your appreciation of Kamal. How is it to be in this world in that way?
I'm how y'all doing? Peace, everybody. I don't agree with everything Kamal says. I agree with a lot of the stuff that he says, but I'm gonna tell y'all, we go way back. I am famous for dragging him to his face. So I don't have a need to drag him behind his back. I'm gonna drag Kamal right to his face. Well, he in Atlanta now, and I'm still in New York. So
So how you doing? There's a statement. Go ahead.
1 second, okay. My pet peeve. My name is pronounced exactly as it's spelled. Zezzy, ZZ, like all that stuff. Like, look at
Zenzi.
how it's spelled. Thank you.
I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name.
I don't understand why I get so many people have such a difficult time pronouncing Zenzi. Yeah. My actual first name is Zenzile, but I don't even want to go there. How many people mispronounce that? But people call me Zenzi. Peace, y'all. How y'all doing? Thank you, Geechee. I appreciate you making the effort. So no, I don't always agree with Kamal. I will drag him to his face. But it's all love.
So is that you were saying something about like I guess keeping the children out of it. So I think before we talked about Blue Ivy one time, and this time the conversation was starting around Northwest deciding that she don't want to be in the mansion with her mom. She'd rather be in these things with her dad. But what was your comments or statements or thoughts in terms of like children?
Okay, I'm gonna preface this by saying a couple of things. I don't give a fuck about celebrities, like zero fucks at all. Motherfucker, I don't care. Okay, second of all, my own personal opinion is Black kids don't get to be kids. Black kids, and it's one thing when outside communities do that, and we get mad when Black children get viewed as adults and get the same scrutiny as adults by white folks and by the police and everything like that, but we don't show the same consideration for children. I have a problem with that. Now, I also, kind of like, I get it, but no, I have zero tolerance for that. I have absolute zero tolerance for that. Just, a kid can be doing the most problematic shit, but that's still a child. When you talk about kids, I'm really, really careful about the language that I use. When people accuse little Black kids of having an attitude, not knowing how to respect nobody, when maybe the underlying thing is they have depression because they've been going through so much shit in their house, but nobody really wants to talk about that. No one really wants to ask them what's going on. They just want to automatically punish them. This shit happens in school and we mad, but then we go around and do the same thing to our own kids. I have a big problem with that. Drag Kanye, drag fucking Jay-Z. I drag him like it's breathing. I have a problem with that. I don't give a fuck about the Kardashians. Never saw the show. Don't give a damn. I feel sorry for that little girl for having such trash ass parents, both of them. So anything that comes out of her mouth, I'm like, well, damn, look at what she's having to deal with every single day. That's a kid. When we talk about Black children, and I'm not even going any place else. When we talk about Black children and we don't show them the same consideration we want other people to show them, I have a big problem with that. I cannot stand when I hear people, oh, that little girl's so grown, that little boy's so grown, he needs, but they're dealing with something that they see in the house or they're experiencing in the house or that's happening to them on a regular basis, and nobody gives a damn about that. But I don't want to say nobody. I'm just saying we should really, really care more about that. That's why I'm zero tolerant about dragging kids. I don't give a fuck. Listen.
I mean, that's fair. It's laid out. Any thoughts, response, Skip, Derek, Diallo?
Let me just say real quick, because I know I'm gonna have to jump off here. In fact, I should probably jump off here in right now. So let me just say I agree. Thank you all very much. I'm gonna jump into the regular chat and watch from there. Peace, everybody. And but I agree, and I appreciate Zenzi. Zenzile, you should jump on here anytime you want.
I'll
Peace,
be here.
everybody.
Peace. Safe travels. And another thing, how is he at a public location and keeping his voice down? Maybe he's not, because if I'm in a public place, and I'm like trying to talk on Zoom or something like that, half the room is gonna hear me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. He got a radio voice. He got a face for radio too. Well, Skip, what you think in terms of the babies being off limits? I don't know. Was this the same argument that? Well, not the same, but it was a similar argument that Jared come out and Jackie was having with Kanye West and around how to do and what to do. But what's your thoughts, Skip?
I didn't think we were saying anything about the child. I think the child made a statement, and the question was, is she committing class suicide? I don't think we were critical of the child or her experience. I just think
you weren't critical of the child and her experiences.
Okay, right on. Yeah, so ultimately, as a parent of two small boys, that does, one of the things that I always think is interesting, I am the non-custodial parent, not because I want to be, but because the court system won't allow me to be, right? I would rather have my children with me all the time. But because, we live in America, and I don't have that say. I think I see these things I'm very sensitive to these things. Because I'm a real parent, like my ex-wife denies me opportunities to do more things for my children. The only reason I'm not at school today is because I'm here. So I went to soccer last night. Like Diallo will tell you, hey, if my kids got soccer or they got a thing going, like it ain't nothing happening. Not because I just show up and buy Jordans, but because I'm an active parent. I am a disciplinarian, but I discipline very differently than their mom because of political things that I believe, right? I hate when people do this, but I really do believe that parenting is a revolutionary action, right? So because of that, that's how I engage my children and that's how I engage other people's children. But I do think that, we can get in a space where we are hypercritical of Black children, especially. And I think also that sometimes because people are hypercritical of it, sometimes we can be hypersensitive to it, right? Like we don't want to give it a chance to get to the line where it could be crossed. So yeah.
And thank you for that. Like, number one, the parenting isn't the issue here. That's a totally separate issue. My heart goes out to you for what you're dealing with, but that is a separate issue than anybody on the planet dragging Black kids. And, I came from a family of, my grandparents had dozens of children in foster care, adopted 6 of them, dozens when I was growing up in the 70s. I saw shit. So I'm super, super, super sensitive because you see kids acting out and, kids bearing the brunt of this, especially foster kids. Foster kids bear the brunt of this because they're behaving in a way that, a lot of people don't understand. You being bounced from house to house to house. You've been abused by your own blood parents and you're being bounced around. Nobody wants you because you're acting out as a result of the shit that you've had to deal with. You're acting out as a result of being bounced around and bounced around and bounced around. And no one's really, especially back in the 70s, like shit, mental health, therapists, what's that? So I've always been really, 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 really super sensitive of, and that doesn't mean condone, behavior of children. That's not even my point I'm making. I'm talking about the parents and adults and elders and aunties and uncles and just people down the street when they see the behavior of Black kids. I don't give a fuck about nobody else's kids. I mean, hey, my heart, whatever, thoughts and prayers and shit. But that is always going to be my issue because, we always talk about how people, studies show that, the police and white people see, Black kids is way older and they treat them. What are we doing? How are we countering that? Every single day in our own homes. On screen when we're talking about them. How are we, countering all that? How are we going to get mad at the cops? If I see a cop, and I'm not, listen, I'm 5'2". In my head, I'm 6'5", so it doesn't really matter. But if I see the cops, like hemming up some kids, I may not curse that cop out. It depends. I kind of, gauge my situation, but I'm definitely going to kind of stand around to see what goes down because I think a lot of Black kids feel like ain't nobody on their side.
Diallo?
Like, Lisa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Diallo.
First of all, the fact that you assert that you don't care about anybody else's kids is Black kids.
I was being sarcastic. I'm a sarcastic as hell person, but continue.
The fact that you said that you don't care about anybody else's kids but our kids means that you can look at children and make assessments and make critiques about children. When I said that she was speaking nonsense, and when I pretty much asserted that when a child of billionaires talks about living a regular life, we should not be caught up in that because what they define as a regular life is not a us. And I think what we do with rich children and rich people in general, we tend to project a lot onto them. You know, I really don't think it makes much sense to jump between Blue Ivy and poor children, and how poor children living under racist oppression versus wealthy Black children who live in what Jay-Z called rarefied air. I mean, literally, Beyonce has done interviews bragging about her wealth and talked about how generations of her offspring will be able to live this wealth. They literally raised their children to rule over our children. They raise their children to and set them up to exploit our children. So just as poor children are not exempt from the fallout and consequences of poverty, just because they're children, rich children should not be exempt from the critique of capitalism and elitism. I think when someone from a higher in the hierarchy talks about someone lower in the hierarchy, I do think that care should be exercised. So when I'm talking about LGBTQ people, when I'm talking about Black women, and when I'm talking about children as a Black man, even though I am subject and a victim of oppression, I understand that when I speak about an individual from that group or that group as a whole, I have to have a level of sensitivity. Now, when I talk about things above me on the hierarchy, like established religion and cult leaders and demagogues and con men and the adult elites, I understand they are above me on the hierarchy, so I don't have to exercise such care. But even though I don't think that those groups that I name as being below me on the hierarchy, not because I'm better, it's just because of the way the hierarchies and the systems and institutions of oppression are structured, does not mean I cannot level or critique, make observations, and draw conclusions. And as I articulate those particular conclusions, I don't think it's appropriate to say, well, you have a conclusion, you made a critique and on a child, therefore it's wrong. I would respect if you said, well, you made this particular analysis, you drew this particular conclusion, you made this particular assertion, and this assertion is inappropriate or incorrect for these reasons. But as far as that blanket, you cannot look in that direction, I think it not only harms us, more so it harms the children, especially the children of the elite. And I don't think we need as a people to stop projecting the Black struggle on assets and allies of our oppressor, which are the Black elites. Black elites under this system have a different objectives, different goals, different value systems, and different projected outcomes in their own minds. So I do think class, when you're dealing with a child, class is extremely relevant. I've engaged with child soldiers from Sierra Leone. I've engaged with traumatized youth from the South Side, and I've engaged with children of affluent, wealthy Negroes. And they have completely different experiences, and they are not entitled to the same level of sympathy from us. And the moment you give it to everybody, there's a movie called Fresh, and it was about children and it's about the experience. It's one of the most best in the hood movie eras. And the young man was talking to his sister, and they were all in foster care, and their grandmother was fostering them. And she said she was trying to tell her brother, don't go to the street, don't adopt the street life. And he was like, nobody cares about me, so why shouldn't I adopt the street life? And his sister said, grandma cares about you. And he said, grandma cares equally about everybody, so her care is null and void. So I think we should, as a people, saying, hey, the poor youth, the struggling youth, the youth who are subject to versus those rich youth, yeah, we care more about y'all. And they should know that, yeah, you get a special level of concern. It really I'm just saying, it disgusts me, the level of defense of Blue Ivy and defense of North that I see in the community and in the virtual spheres. It's insanity to me. When I really see what our children go to, when I go into these schools, when I engage with these youth, when I, run certain programs for young people, and I see people literally, I know personally, that defend celebrity offspring more than they do their own children, let alone children in the community. So I disagree. I don't think anything's above critique, but I do think, and I agree with you, that there should be a level of caution and sensitivity when critiquing those below you on the hierarchical scale.
Thank you very much for that. And number one, I saw fresh. I'm 55 years old. I was there back then. Number two, you said something about Beyonce and Jay-Z are raising their children. My point right there, I'm gonna drag Beyonce and Jay-Z any day. I didn't even know Northwest said some shit because I don't. When I say I don't pay attention to motherfuckers, I don't pay attention to Blue Ivy, none of them, Jay-Z, none of them at all. Like I don't watch celebrity news. What I hear about them, I hear from commentary shows. So yeah, absolutely, all of your points. My point is this: I'm going after the parents now. When I say I don't give a shit about other kids, it's not like I'm going to be stepping on some kid down the street or whatever. I'm just saying my priority is always going to be Black children. And you make some really, really good points, and I don't disagree with them. My take is always, in most situations, like I'm not going to sit here and talk about Blue Ivy. If I have to talk about any of them, what the fuck's their last name, Carter? Like if I have to talk about any of them, I'm going after Jay-Z and Beyonce all the time. I don't give a shit about Kardashians, so their name ain't gonna leave my mouth. Kanye, yeah, I'm gonna drag him all the time. That's just my whole point. I'm not disagreeing with anything you say. And, a lot of things that you say about this whole topic, yeah, I'm gonna have to ponder. And, I'm going to probably make some exceptions when you're talking about, child soldiers. And of course, Black kids in Chicago or Brooklyn or wherever. But me, I'm always gonna be like, yeah, you raising your child to fucking be this way. You raising your kids to be this way. Beyonce's talking about raising generations. She's the one right now until those kids become adults. She's the one that I'm always gonna go after because Jay-Z's more my peer because we're like around the same age. But
so as you look at Blue Ivy on the world stage doing choreographed dances at one of the most expensive, profitable concert tours in the history of modern media, you would conclude that as I see her on that stage, I can't have or express my opinion about the quality of her performance.
I didn't see the show, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. I mean, seeing the kid dancing on stage, I can just say, okay, that's, fine, good job or whatever.
What if it's not a good job? Would you say it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not dragging that kid for not, it's like, hey, maybe she had bad choreography. She's a kid.
I don't think I dragged anybody's kid either. Not to say I'm above dragging a kid, because I got a lot of material out there. And somebody might find something where I dragged a kid. But like I said,
I mean, the kids in my family get dragged by me on a regular basis, but that's a different situation.
Children are people. And I agree with you.
I'm not gonna be like, okay, she's responsible for the downfall of this show, whatever. Like, kid did a bad job.
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, my sons, to the extent, I wanted to raise elite level athletes like every black father, and my sons are just let me down, even though, and so I'm gonna tell them, man, what was you doing out there?
Exactly.
And when I talk to their uncles, and if I have a mind to speak on it, I'll speak about it publicly. So I think that Black children don't have a childhood. And I think a component of that is the oppression and our condition. But a large component of that is insecurity and fear of the parents. I see these memes about people from our generation. I'm a little younger than you, but I think we're in the same sphere, right? And they talk about how Gen X, how we was outside drinking out of the water hoses, how we was latchkey kids, how we was doing all this. Like literally, I was outside one day and there was a drive-by. And my grandmother came out and was like, what was all that noise? And I'm like, Otis just did a drive-by. And then she was like, oh, come out the street. And we stayed outside playing. And I know today, and then we brag about how we was outside. And then we talk about how the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha, all they do is sit in the house. Oh, they don't go outside. As if we aren't responsible for that. We didn't create our childhoods, our elders did. And we're mocking children for living the childhood we created for them.
Yeah.
I know people with 16-year-olds who don't have a bus pass or can't ride the L train, who can't go anywhere by themselves.
Yeah.
what children that they don't take their children to driving lessons and don't let their children, when my sons want to go out and buy some sneakers or go just get a hot chocolate at the local cafe, he has to go alone because his peers' parents don't allow him outside. So I think it's more of us projecting our fear on our children, more so than not protecting and not valuing our children. I think, especially from our generation, it's overprotection. We don't let our kids outside and play. And today, the streets are safer now than they were in the 90s. The violence is lower now than it was in the 90s. Their likelihood of being snatched up and taken away statistically is a little less than zero, like 0 point something. So it is our fear that we are robbing our children of a childhood. And we can sit back and say, oh, it's because of the white man's systems of oppression that our children don't have child. It's because of the police. But we got to carry a lot of blame for that. We created the atmosphere where our children don't have childhoods. When we could just say, hey, go on outside. And we pretend like they don't, as if we were outside because of ourselves. We weren't outside because of us. We were outside because of our elders.
Exactly.
So back to Kanye.
I'm sorry. I want to make one comment. With all due respect, Brother Hiram Rivera saying Diallo's comment didn't need a response. I'm up here to respond. Like, I'm,
it's cool.
Continue.
It's cool. So Kanye is being brought back up into the spare as being someone who spoke some truth. He's saying that these bought artists can't say shit.
Okay, I don't.
We got a dope artist here that's not bought. We got Diallo. Like, was he a broke clock being right?
We trying to get Skip bought. I told Skip.
No.
I'm trying to get Skip on the red carpet at the Met Gala so we can all get paid.
You could just go to the red carpet and just walk. We
Y'all
don't gotta
love
be bought
poverty.
to do that. No.
I'm trying to get Skip paid. He won't listen to me. Just
We can
being
raise some
a
funds.
talented rapper don't mean nothing.
Listen, bro. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I put it in the chat. I am for sale or for rent.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be
Trying to
look,
keep him
man.
broke.
I don't know about y'all, but listen now. Listen, if you can't afford to buy me, you can lease, you can rent. I am available. Just know what you buying. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna do nothing no different than I've been doing. You know,
that's your problem. I told you in 2023, if you're gonna be in hip hop, you got to be a gangster or a weirdo or a combination of the two.
Nah, bro, I can't.
Skinny jeans.
Yeah, or listen, I put you in a sequin spandex bodysuit, and we get paid. You get up there, ad lib, skirt,
but did Kanye did he speak some truth in terms of the silence between? Well, not necessarily silence, because some people actually doing pro-Israel. They are creating AI of some celebrities walking back their statement or support of Palestine. It's weird.
Kanye is not anti-Zionist. He's anti-Semitic. Anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism are not the same, as much as the Zionists want to conflate the two. But Kanye is part of the problem. Like Kanye, how can a man go on the world sphere and proudly say, I don't read, and then every time he opens his mouth, we act like he has something relevant to say? Kanye is only smart to stupid people.
I agree. I mean, I really challenge, or like, I know why, but still, it's just like, why are we giving celebrities a platform that don't know anything? And the only reason we're paying attention to them is because they're celebrities. Like, if you say something obviously stupid, like, I don't understand why first of all, I don't understand, like, stick to your lane. If you are famous for putting some lyrics on paper, stick to that. If you're famous for, scoring field goals or touchdowns, stick to that. Like, I don't want to hear Fat Joe talking about, African culture. Stop, just stop.
But I guess that's one of the reasons or ways or purpose of being bought, right? And we talked about the crossover that Dale Jones talked about, right? So they're obviously a tool, right? So they can say the dumbest thing, but because people emotionally connected to their art, I mean, the shit is true. right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's
If you saw
extremely tough.
Yes, that one.
Huh?
Diallo has a #1 fan in the chat somewhere, but this person says Diallo's the #1 fan. So Diallo say some wild shit. It don't matter. Diallo's right.
I don't
I can
challenge
unite
that
with
though.
that.
Here's the thing. I do not challenge that. All right. When you're talking about Diallo, who is real about this, like this is pretty much, Diallo is speaking from, studied experience, and this is his subject matter. Diallo is not a not a basketball star, or not, a star athlete. So he's not, famous. First of all, he's famous in art circles, of course, obviously, but he's not famous on the big screen for doing anything else. So absolutely, the people that are going to be watching Diallo are going to, appreciate him for that. There you go. Thank you, Diallo's #1 fan. Diallo is extremely intelligent. Stop, please.
I think that's Diallo. I'm pretty sure that's Diallo.
I'm
I
gonna
just
put
saw
my
you type some
keyboard
shit.
over here.
No.
I'm gonna put my keyboard. I'm gonna put it over
that's
here.
Diallo.
And keep,
I ain't no conspiracy theories, but Skip, what you got?
I need
Broke
my
clock.
keyboard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely a broken clock. But I think like it's something that we always talk around. But I also think like we always just got to recognize like why these people are promoted. You know what I'm saying? Like these types of things come out because it's going to do a particular thing to support empire. You know what I'm saying? And I think like I think that even the broken clock piece exists so that the next thing gets covered the same way. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't know. Much like Zenzi was saying, like I just don't like I don't know what happens. Like without this conversation right here, I would have not known that until the day I died. Like it's just I don't know. Like somebody has to walk up to me and tell me what one of those people said. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't engage, and I'm so intentional about it. Like if I think I see a thing too much, I'm definitely going to not only be like, don't recommend this again, but I'm also going to report that channel for spam. I'm going to do everything that I can to prevent that from showing up in my life again. And I think it works because I don't see it. Like, I mean, listen, my algorithm, for the most part, thinks I'm a white man. I look at stuff about hunting and fixing cars, and I don't see any of this stuff, right? And I think that's the way that I'm able to kind of keep so many other things front of mind that are important. I don't know, man. I think a lot of people in the chat are like, we're talking a lot about we're talking a lot about celebrity, but I also just think the other thing that we need to do is recognize that we're talking about celebrity to talk about why we shouldn't be paying attention to celebrity, right? And I think people may be missing it if they're just popping in and popping back out. But yeah, like
so tell me real quick, tell me this. So one of the things, and we're studying Black Power in Palestine, and Emory Douglas is being talked about in it a lot, right? The artist for Black Panthers. Mm-hmm. And he has his position on art, right? And yes, we're talking about celebrity, but I guess the common thing is their art, their ability to produce something, and then how their art is being used. You don't think so?
No,
listen, absolutely.
Listen, I think we ignore celebrity and celebrities to our own detriment as a people, especially people engaged in the struggle. And here's why. I don't think we've properly defined celebrity, because like Geechee was saying, there's a notion that people become celebrities because of their art and what they produce. What does Kim Kardashian produce? There's this term that was popular in the 80s and 90s that's literally said famous.
I mean, she did produce something. Her and Ray J produced a video.
Yeah, but is that an exceptional talent? Exceptional talent.
No. So that's the thing, though.
But
the talent is not the thing. So Skip
exactly. I agree with you. Talent is not the thing. But
yeah.
my point, Geechee, what I'm trying to say is, celebrity is literally a person in a society or culture that is an embodiment of the aspirations of that culture. You can have a celebrity artist, a celebrity columnist, a celebrity cook, a person who does food that we associate with commoners, a celebrity. They even have a celebrity lady who cleans houses, a celebrity maid. That does it bring joy, lady? Literally anyone can be a celebrity, regardless of their talent, their ability, or what thing they are famous for, as long as they are the embodiment of the aspirations, the higher aspirations of that particular culture. And that's why when you look at different cultures and you see, well, this guy's the most famous guy there. You know, the French love Jerry Lewis. And we don't even understand, like, why is that guy famous? Or why are they looking at that guy? Zelensky, you know, in Ukraine. So because celebrities are literally walking propaganda, they're living, walking assets of the status quo. They are assets of our enemies and oppressors. And they act upon and they impact the common and the masses. And because we as revolutionaries are also struggling for the same resources as the elites, which is the minds and hearts of the people, we are in the same struggle for that common resource to influence the people, to rearrange systems and societies. So, and celebrities are their number one assets. When you look at, and it's not just about who's popular. Look at what's his name in the Congo, Louis Armstrong, and how the intelligence agencies use Louis Armstrong to subvert Patrice Lumumba.
Mm-hmm.
The number one weapon that the U.S. exports across the globe is not guns, not bombs. It's Western culture, Western values. And outside of the United States, you'll see that many cultures that have any way want to oppose, for whatever reason, U.S., they struggle the most with keeping Western culture from seeping into their society and trying to create indigenous cultural products. Right now, there are governments all over the world who are spending millions of dollars pushing their artists, pushing their movies, pushing their cultural products, their traditional music to their own people to try to counterbalance the power of Western culture. So once we see celebrities, not necessarily as people we should celebrate, but see them as assets of our oppressors, as assets of the status quo, as weaponized individuals, I think we can better comprehend when they come out and make a statement, whether it is a conservative right-wing statement or a centrist liberal statement. I think we can better comprehend Ice Cube's contract with Black America if we look at it through his celebrity status, or understand when Jay-Z has a change of heart and go from slinging crack rocks to trying to buy up the block. I think to ignore celebrity, because the first Western celebrity was the Pope, you know, and they all play the same function. So I think that celebrity, even it is not a diminishment of scholarship to focus on. It's like saying ignore any other tactics, especially of psychological and cultural warfare. They are a weapon. They have tactics and strategies. So I do pay attention to celebrities from that point of view.
So I don't disagree, and I think both could be right. Although Diallo, as a gynocentrist, said he didn't like Kim's production, even though he watched the video, he didn't like it. Black celebrities in particular, are you not saying that the reason why they become celebrity is because their art is able to be able to use against them or use
Yes,
against
that's
them.
the only way to be a celebrity. You
Yeah,
can be
so
the greatest black artist.
Yeah,
You
so
can
that's
be
what
the
I'm saying in
greatest
terms of
black
art.
artist, producing some of the greatest black art, and never reach celebrity status. From Gil Scott Heron to Brother
Yes.
Skip Coon, who's sitting here right now.
Yes.
I mean, Poor Righteous Teacher, and is
But
on like what
okay.
his 12th studio album.
But that's my
Not
point.
celebrity.
That's my point and question to Zenzi and Skip in terms of our artists that are not bought, co-opted, and used for other political purposes. Then what becomes the responsibility or the need or the use for our artists, knowing that their artists or the artists that's used as a platform, because our people are literally emotionally. Kanye made some dope beats. He might have had some couple lines, and now he's here. But go ahead.
Okay. Number one, no, we didn't. But second of all, I have no apology for that. It has been proven that as soon as a Black celebrity speaks up against the status quo, their career takes a dive and sometimes just ends. Like, that's been proven, documented. How much more proof do we need? You know, and I absolutely agree that, yeah, we absolutely should be mindful and definitely paying attention to, you know, what celebrities are doing, because they do affect, you know, the broader community. I just don't pay attention to the little minutia. Oh, he said this Tuesday. He said, you know, like that. I just don't. My algorithm, I don't even see any of this. You know, I don't. So I see, you know, y'all and shit, like, you know, coming up next or whatever. But so yeah, on a broader scale, absolutely. And yes, celebrities get boosted, and they, you know, they may not have wanted to become a star to, you know, go and, you know, bend the minds of, you know, Black folks. But as soon as, like, they will get boosted as soon as it's proven that they can be used to, you know, support the status quo. That, I mean, this has been proven. You know, I also am very mindful. You know, I have friends and peers that are absolutely, like, you know, listening with rapt attention every single time, you know, Beyonce says something, or, you know, just name your celebrity says something, or, you know, has some deep ass conversation, because they're getting a platform just because they're famous and saying some toxic shit, and people are like, ooh, that's really deep. No, it's really not. You know, Fat Joe, I cannot stand him. Don't like his music. I'm a hip hop head. Cannot stand his ass. Had, you know, but people are like, oh, you know, he's down and everything. But no, he's not. Just because Farrakhan assigned blackness to him, y'all.
Go ahead, Skip.
I mean, like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. And I think all people can't do all things, right? One of the things that I think is really important that, you know, that I'm always open to when Diallo is like, yo, we got to pay attention to celebrity. Well, I hope somebody does, and they can come and distill it to me, because that's just not my ministry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't have any interest in that. One of the things, though, is that I think the established means of production for celebrity does not allow me to fit, right? Because it does not allow me to fit, that's not where I chase. I do think that, you know, Black Power Media, which is, you know, as a structure, is something that I think is really important. I also think that we could do more things to create more content that people will engage through, like, these existing systems. But I also recognize that I can make all the revolutionary rap songs that I can think of, but if I'm not actively engaged in my community, what's the point of them rap songs? Like, this is, you know, I'm sorry to talk about myself, but like, I am engaged in my community in a way that my art introduced me to those people, and then I have to show those people that I'm really the art that they heard. And I show up in them spaces being what they heard on the record. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you hear a Skip Coon record, and then when you see Skip Coon and he owned the same black stuff that he was on in the record, it means something now. And I know, you know, the way scripture shows up, but it's something that Paul wrote. He said, how can I be a Jew living like a Gentile, trying to convince the Gentiles to live like Jews? The way I understand that statement is, how am I going to be in the community, acting like the things that are not good in the community, trying to convince the community to change? Like, I'm present in my, like, I've pulled up on boys in my neighborhood, hopped out the car and told them something that they did wrong and that I love them and that it's super important for them to get it. Them people don't know nothing about no music that I make. I just think that is my success. My success is when Jared is like, yo, like, this is one of my top 5. That's cool. When I met Hiram and I dapped him up and I was like, yo, like, what you were saying really lined up. No, I'm definitely not anti-scripture. What he was saying lined up, and I'm trying to be a bridge to connect him to other things, finding out that he was already plugged in, because I'm in them spaces to be a connector. Like, my celebrity allows me to know more people so that I can connect more of those people together. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we can't do none of this shit on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's really where so much of it take place. Like, Diallo definitely changed, you know, some of my thinking, but I'm not on social media. Like, I don't do that shit. Why? I'm really outside.
Mm-hmm. So, Zenzi, we are gonna probably shift to a next. If you want to stay, you can stay, but if not, you can kind of give us any final thoughts about the little quick segment.
I am gonna go because I have to start work in about half an hour. But thank you for having me on. You know, I'll come back whenever I'm invited. You know, I love this show. That's it. So
thank you so much.
Peace, y'all.
Peace. So, brothers, we got,
now that she's gone, I can say, fuck them kids.
There you go. So we got
fuck them kids.
All right, Diallo, you win. So we got a couple things. I don't know if y'all want to get to something in particular, but we got Diallo's uncle Magic Johnson, and then we have some stories around the world that maybe not Palestine but connected to Palestine. Which way y'all want to go? You mute.
Well, look, this is what I'm gonna say about all this Palestine conversation. I work for a nonprofit, and you know, I like being able to pay my bills. So, you know, let's, you know, do what we supposed to do. But also remember, you know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't worried about the industry, you know what I'm saying, as much as I'm worried about, you know, my responsibility. You know,
industry responsibility bars. Diallo, what you was about to say? Or what were you saying?
I don't know.
Which one you want to go to? You want to go to the world?
Well, I said we didn't play what Kanye actually said, but I guess, I mean,
you got it. You have it.
No.
Okay, well, we don't want to play.
You're the man. You the techno.
We did enough Kanye. Kanye took a whole almost an hour.
Yeah. But I think we hashed it out where he's conflating his anti-Semitism is not the same as anti-Zionism, and in fact, anti-Semitism is a driver of Zionism. It is an engine or fuels Zionism. So
maybe let's go to your Magic Johnson. So Magic Johnson is the newest tragic. He's the new Billy guy. Billionaire. I know you wanted to cover this or talk about this, but what's your thoughts Again, we talk about celebrities and the idea of like pushing cultures and values. And then so the idea and the desire to become a billionaire, for that to be a life goal.
Well,
for a lot of people.
You know, malignant cancer is basically unregulated cellular growth. A tumor is unregulated growth concentrated in one area of the body. So billionaires are economic tumors. And when you look at economies, when you see a proliferation of people who reach billionaire status, and they're projected that we'll have our first official, we've had our first trillionaire valuation of a corporation, and now they're saying that there are certain individuals on trajectory to be the first trillionaires within their own lifetimes. That shows you, that's evidence of a sick economy. It's no different than if you look at an economy or a society as a group of people, and if you look at it as the individual people who are cells within that body or that society. Billionaires, the more billionaires you have, the more unstable the economy is, because billionaires are nothing but wealth hoarders, and no one on this planet has done $1 billion worth of work. No one on this planet has done $1 billion worth of work. So the only way to reach billionaire status is to hyper exploit the labor and production of the largest group of people possible.
So there's not, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so I think billionaires, Black billionaires, should be something we lament. It should not be a cause of celebration, but it should be a cause for alarm. But that's any billionaire, and it's rather tragic that how Black billionaires in particular distort so many people's perceptions about opportunities for African people within this system, and our status in this system, and what is the ultimate how this system, what this system has intended for Black people as a collective, and the trajectory that we're on as a planet even. So I think it is my biggest problem with this, after the fact that he is a billionaire, my biggest problem with this is how the Black masses celebrate this or look at this as aspirational or celebratory. I think it's truly tragic.
So Skip, as you talk to young people in your community, the idea of getting rich, maybe $1 million, $1 billion, and like, what is the conversation like of trying to explain explaining that there's no ethical way to make $1 billion? Something like someone like Bezos, he can pay his employees $19 an hour, but he's making $9 million per hour. Like, what's your?
Yeah. So this is really funny. So Monday, I was talking to my sons while they were doing their homework, and I can't remember how we got into the conversation, but however we started discussing it, I started asking them questions about being rich, and we went to the website Spend Jeff Bezos's Money, and yeah, but it's like Bill Gates. It's the same function, right? And I think we ended up buying like 40 NFL teams. Like, we just like bought all of this stuff, and they was like, wait, and he still has money? I was like, yeah. And I was like, is that fair? And Miles Garvey was like, no. And I was like, so think about all the problems that could be solved if this wealth was where it needed to be, in the hands of community, right? The other thing is, and we talk about this a lot at my job, is that society has drifted so far to the right that rational thought has become radical. Like, not even getting into radical stuff, just having rational, normal thought is considered radical. Here's an example. I'm taking a class. In this class, they talked about a mortgage, right? So the mortgage, it was like a $250,000 house. And then you had to figure out how much money you paid the bank, right? And it's like over $600,000 for this $200,000 loan that they give you, right? So now people in the class aren't really upset. And then they say that you can write the interest that you've paid the bank off on your income taxes. My immediate question is, why am I paying taxes to the bank? Right? My coworker, who I'm talking to about this, still does not understand why I am ranting and raving about taxes being paid to a bank. We are both black people. We both grew up poor. I don't understand how we are not at a condition to where we are recognizing that this is a problem. People don't really, they want to escape their struggle without recognizing that their struggle is tied to the struggle of everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Tell me this. Do you think on our way to revolution, on our way to changing material conditions of people, could we shift society? Like, so I think society has this idea like the politicians are fucking up everything and they need to do this and they need to do better. Like, do you think there's a way to shift people's thoughts to have that same smoke or energy for the oligarchs and the capitalists and the people who got the bills?
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you that I believe it's happening. On another call we were having, another coworker was talking about how the Republicans are a crazy man with the gun and the Democrats are just yelling, that guy has a gun. Right? Now, this is a person that has been consistently voting in these elections. I think now they're starting to recognize that something is afoot here. Right? Now, I think it's on us to continue to leverage that and to highlight these contradictions. I think that's something that we could do a much better job of, right? But I also think, I forgot where I heard it, but someone said that we are prehistoric beings in medieval institutions with godlike technology. Right? I am definitely sure that people are smart enough to see it, but I don't know if people are ready to address it in a real way. Because, man, oppression works. I was with people that would call themselves radical at the airport in Nigeria. And one of these people said, I just like airports run by white people. It's the same plane. It's the same structure. You just want it to work in the way that you want it to work. And sometimes that ain't the way the world works. Like the manipulation of things that have to happen for it to happen, it's very strange. Yeah. It's very strange.
So Diallo, one of my favorite panels we did a couple years ago was on capitalism. And I want you to kind of respond to this idea of like the role of the millionaire, the billionaire, this idea of like pushing people away from collective action and more so into like believing in this concept of trickle down. How do you like wrestle with that or explain it?
Well, yeah, I always say that when Reagan introduced the concept of trickle-down economics, the Black community should be commended for being one of the constituencies or the demographics that most aggressively oppose this absurdist concept of trickle-down economics. But at the same time that when white politicians propose trickle-down economic policies, we reject it. But then when Black celebrities engage or start to assert trickle-down, we celebrate it and embrace it. When trickle down economics comes in blackface. So again, I think as these Black celebrities, many Black celebrities have Black people not just being willing to hear, but embracing things that if it came from a white source, Black people would immediately reject it. So, and capitalism, I think nobody, the thing about capitalism is I don't even like talking about capitalism as an economic system, because there's really no such thing as an capitalist economic system. Because if you go to work behaving as a capitalist, you would be immediately fired. When you are hired to work for a corporation or for any type of profit-driven industry, they tell you, first thing they try to say is, we are a family. You have to cooperate. You have to pool your resources. If you are in a, whether it's physical labor, and you come up with a technique, they expect you to share the technique with everyone around you freely. And just try to imagine living in a home built under capitalist principles, where the electrician was competing against the carpenter, and the carpenter and the electrician were both competing against the architect. And each of the various professions, the stonemason was trying to hoard all of the resources to himself. You couldn't live in a structure like that. It has to be sharing, cooperation, and coordination. So capitalism is actually a distribution system, not a production system. Most production in this society, even in the most capitalistic companies, the production is socialistic or socialist, where the people work together, they pool their resources, all regardless of the level of intellect or understanding anyone has. Even if you work in a hospital, the brain surgeon cannot do their job without skilled floor techs, without the people sterilizing the instruments, who have high school degrees or less, who sterilize the instruments, are as crucial to your well-being as the brain surgeon is. Because if he has contaminated, and they don't do it, the x-ray tech and the cook, the nutritionist, all work together. But then capitalism steps in and says, well, this work is more valuable than this work. This person is more valuable than this person. This person should get their money off the top, where these people should have to divide what minimalist is left over. I think if we truly understood what capitalism is, we would reject it. The average person would just, regardless of their ideology, the average person rejects capitalism. They do surveys where they call up people in the red states, and they ask them, do you agree with this policy? Healthcare should be this, housing costs, and maybe foreign conglomerates be able to buy up housing stock? And they say, no, no, no. And when they run down the list of specific policies without identifying those policies as being socialist, most people agree with it. But then when you call them and say, do you support capitalism or socialism in America? They say, I support capitalism. But when you talk about specific policies under a socialist versus a capitalist economy, or a socialistic versus a capitalistic state, over 70 to 80% of people align with socialism. So most of us are socialists in belief and in thinking, but they believe in the illusion of capitalism.
So when you're talking about art, how effective is it to explain? So Magic Johnson made his money via white boys who wanted to use him because of his talents, his I guess his art, his ability, starting from Jerry Buss, to where Starbucks was like, yo, we don't really have places in the hood because we can't make money. And Magic Johnson convinced them. And so he got a deal with Starbucks, did the same thing with Burger King. He did the same thing kind of with the a life insurance company that he supposedly had 60% ownership over. But what's being saw and reported is like Magic Johnson is an owner. He owns this. He does this. He's smart in the boardrooms. And it really is like, no, they're using his ass in the boardrooms to expand their business.
And can I say something else? Magic, these billionaire status, their valuations. When they determine someone as being a billionaire, they don't go to their bank accounts and count the money, put on that little green visor and just put the money and count out the money. The way they determine whether or not you are a billionaire is that unnamed individuals, many of them are journalists. They're not even economists. They look at your assets. And then they look at it, and even if you read the articles, they say that estimated net worth or valuation. So if and not saying that these people don't have obscene and absurd levels of money, but who would it benefit to project Magic Johnson as a billionaire? This black celebrity who reached billionaire status, not through collective struggle, not through opposition to the systems and institutions of white domination and white hegemony. He reached billionaire status by playing the game, beat the man at his game. So I would probably argue his valuation is at a $1 billion, but you know, the most valuable auto company in the world is Tesla.
But did you give black women jobs?
Tesla has less than 5% of the infrastructure and in production capacity of Ford.
But do you have black
But
women?
it's worth 10 times more. So fiat money is fake. Money is artificial. Money is not a real thing. You know, somebody could literally go on a laptop tomorrow and get me to billionaire status. And if you can, please do. But does that really mean I can reach in my pocket or go to the bank and write $1 billion check?
You sound like you're hating. Can
Huh?
you do this though? You sound like you're hating. Can you?
I am hating. I hate
can you hire black women?
I hate millionaires. Yes, I am hating. Sound like
But
it?
you ain't
If
hiring
I
no
only
black
sound
women.
like it, I want it to be confirmed that I am hating.
I was trying to see for their little impact thing, but go ahead, Skip. If you got any thoughts about the idea of like critiquing in a way that's showing you that these niggas ain't, these brothers ain't about what they be talking about. They really don't got the money. They really got to handle it.
Kanye got the $1 billion rug pulled out from under his feet.
Maybe.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, I definitely think that is nonsense. And I think the problem is that when you're having these conversations with people, I'm not smart enough to articulate why it doesn't work in a way that they can understand. And I think that is a problem for me. But I also think it's like it's just so immature, right? Like ultimately, we have yet to really come to really believe and accept that individual success is not reflective of collective achievement. And because of that, we keep having people that tell us that one black billionaire is worth, you know, the rest of us living in poverty. And it doesn't make any sense to me.
But Skip, 2,000 jobs he's created. That's his impact.
How many jobs has he created?
About 2,000 at Starbucks. Let me see. I don't know how much he at Burger King. 24 Fitness. Well, let's just talk about this 2,000 jobs. Have you or Diallo created 2,000 jobs for the?
Yes,
for the
I've
brothers in the hood?
created. I maybe more than 2,000 jobs.
Oh yeah.
Yes. How do you define a job creator?
I mean, I don't know. It sounds
Who creates
like
the jobs?
Well, it's Magic, not Starbucks, but it's Magic that's creating this job.
Yeah,
It's
listen.
creating opportunity
The
for the
concept of job creation is skewed. Companies don't hire workers because they hire workers because there is a need, a slot to be filled. They don't hire people out of benevolence of their heart. So the true job creators are the consumers.
Yep.
I owned a restaurant, and it was just when we opened, it was just me working the register and the floor and my wife working the kitchen. We didn't create jobs for nobody. We wouldn't even let our oldest son work there. It wasn't nobody. That was for me and my wife. Right?
Diallo, you put your wife in the kitchen?
Hell yeah. Where else I'm gonna put her? I mean, I'm not a Christian, but I do get some good things from the Bible. Anyway, like I said, my wife was working the kitchen. I was working the floor and the register. Within 3 weeks, we were putting out ads for employees. And we wanted to pay the employees as little as we could get away with. So we were going around the college campuses posting jobs because they tend to be able to work for less than, someone. But anyway, when it was our customers who created that job, because if it was up to my wife and I, If it was up to my wife and I, we would have worked that place until we sold it. But because we didn't have the capacity, my wife needed assistance in the kitchen and we needed assistance on the floor. So it was our customers who created those jobs. If Jeff Bezos had the capacity, being the greedy parasite that he is, to drive the trucks, if he had the capacity to drive every truck so he didn't have to give nobody a dime, capitalists don't want to underpay you. They want to not pay you at all. Capitalists spend a lot of time and energy and resources on figuring out how to pay as few people as possible. That's why they invest in AI. They invest in mechanization. They don't want to pay. Capitalists are jobs destroyers. If capitalists could erase every job in the world, they would. That is the contradiction of capitalism, where they need us to buy their shit, but they don't want to pay us to buy their shit. That is the madness and dysfunction of capitalism. But now they figured that out, because now they loan us money to buy their shit. So they take our money from us in wages, give it to us in readily available credit. So we paying them not just for their products, we're paying them for our own money. But that's another discussion. So all I'm saying is, at one time, at the height of our business, we had 4 regular employees and 1 on-call employee that we could call up, like if we had a catering job or something. So we had but not one of those jobs was created by my wife and I. They were all created by our community and our customers, and our employees were obligated to the community, not to their employers, because if they didn't properly service the community, they couldn't be our employees. So that is a myth. It is the consumers. We are the job creators. And I think we as the public should dictate the pay, should dictate the quality, should dictate the standards, let the cash register sit the blood clot down. And not only should there be a minimum wage that reflects the capacity to live a dignified life, there should be a maximum wage, which is very important. We are the job creators. Every time you step out your house and you do something other than just go for a casual stroll, and even going for a casual stroll, you're creating jobs, because the city people that pick up the trash and mow the lawn and all that, we create jobs. We service and work for each other, not these goddamn billionaires. They're just parasites sucking off of all this interaction and activity, taking it off the top when they do no work.
Well, they use their platforms, as they say, to convince you to spend money with the major corporation, which is in turn will have them.
They coerce you to do it through monopolistic tactics.
Because
I'm constantly. When I became a vegan in 1992, there was like a dozen stores that I could shop at to get my various vegan products. And then Whole Foods came and they started consolidating and shutting down, underselling and subverting all of the little independent food markets. And then I ran to the co-op. I had to join a co-op to be able to avoid this. And then they get sucked into, and then Wild Oats. I used to shop at Wild Oats, and then Wild Oats got bought up by Whole Foods. So they don't provide us a service. Because if I still had those back to the land, all them old school vegan shops that I used to go to, if they were still there, I'd be there. They just deny you options. That's another myth of capitalism. Capitalism gives you variety. Capitalism gives you options. Capitalism destroys options and variety. All these monoculture crops. There are vegetables and fruit that I can't even secure anymore. They don't even have Haitian mangoes in Brooklyn no more. Capitalist consolidation destroys variety. Everything you believe good about capitalism is an absolute lie. Everything that you think capitalism has done good for you is a result of is in spite of capitalism. 8-hour workday, worker protection, pensions, and retirement. The capitalists fought against all of it. The destruction of child labor, and capitalism hasn't done shit good for you in your life. Not one thing.
Speaking of capitalism and Haitian mangoes, capitalism is doing its best to return Haiti back to its position before revolution. And there's obviously a lot of other things going on. So are there any news or thoughts or stories that y'all want to get to that's going on around the world. Skip said he want to keep his job, so we don't want to talk about Palestine right now. Diallo, you have anything? I got some stuff from the Congo, but what do you got?
Yeah, what's really interesting about that is the prospect of African regiments being sent into places like the Sahel regions, or armed African regiments under the UN banner going into Haiti, things like that. That is an extreme throwback to colonists, and I think we'd be really surprised if we really looked into the history of Black African Indian soldiers being used as the vanguard of white imperialism. And I know we think that thing is a thing of the past, but we have not come as far as we think we have come in our fight against white hegemony.
So I don't know if you do you remember what was it? Diop's Black Africa, when he talked about the Congo and how they're obviously the beginning, but in the future, the hydraulic energy and different sources of energy, they're going to be exploited for that. But one of the things I was looking, especially from a Friends of the Congo, it talked about how important the Congo is and why it's necessary to be liberated, how it's the second largest rainforest in the world. They have the capacity to light up all of Africa, and with the leftover energy, they can also export to Middle East and Europe. They are a major player in the global climate change fight. Congo can feed Africa 3 times over each year. They have that much capacity. And again, like the Congo hydraulic electronic potential that Diop wrote about in Black Africa. Like, any thoughts around that in terms of, especially as you should be writing your book, The Myth of the Black Breathing Air, I think. So what are your thoughts about the ecological
The myth of the
impact?
Black
Breathing Air. Didn't you? That was your title. We gave you a title. Your book you buying. I mean, you writing.
Oh.
You're not gonna write it again?
I no, I didn't know it was going to be called The Myth of Black Breathing Air.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be your book. That's gonna be your eco. But what's your thoughts about like the ecological impacts of the Congo, or
Well,
why?
I'm really afraid that I don't like the term. I'd rather use the term third world nation than developing nation, because I think under many of these African development projects, they're still oriented towards export. Under colonialism, Africa's infrastructure, the highway, the rail systems were all oriented towards extracting resources out of the African continent. It either went to the airport or went to the shore to get the resources out of the continent. So many of these development projects, and they again, ACON is probably one that we look at. Many of these development projects and the celebrities they use to embody or to promote is about extraction and in turn instead of sustainability. And even some leaders that I respect often speak of bringing Africans up to the level of Western consumers and Western quality or of life. And I think that that can be a danger. So when I look at these so-called development projects, I think we have to distinguish between sustainable development or capitalist or Western oriented development. I think China fell into that trap. I mean, there are no birds. I mean, you can read articles about how there are no birds in China. There are places in China, despite it being an economic juggernaut, where its ecosystem is completely depleted. And there was a time where China was food sufficient but now that they are having higher and higher needs for importation, which is one of the things that drives imperialism. So I do think that Africa should develop according to socialist and ecological values, and I see often that is compromised or set aside to catch up to people we shouldn't even be following, let alone trying to keep pace with.
Skip, got any thoughts? There was supposed to be some new developments of Mali creating a liberated zone that I'm trying to pull up right quick. But go ahead, Skip.
Yeah, I love that statement, catching up to people we shouldn't be following. I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I don't know enough about some of the international things that y'all are talking about to have an opinion, but I did have this question. How I know the World Bank, well, I'm pretty certain that the World Bank, the IMF is kind of driving some of these things and pushes to kind of move things right. But the question I have is how do we as non-continental Africans contribute to that discussion?
Say that again. Contribute to which discussion?
To the discussion about, like all roads leading away from the colony. All of those things going into, export. So I did go to Cuba, right? And one of the things that they talked about was how they had to grow so much sugar so that they would have things to trade. So that they weren't really growing food on the island. Puerto Rico, the same way, they export the food to import food. How do we contribute to that discussion, being non-continental Africans, to influence those decisions? Like what is our role in it? In the decision of, making things to be exported to contribute to capitalistic growth and not being self-sufficient.
Go ahead, Diallo.
One thing we can do, number one, we can adopt a vegan diet and lifestyle. Number two, we can stop joining the U.S. military. And I'm speaking specifically about the African diaspora, and our role in liberating Africa and liberating other colonized and neo-colonized nations. We can start to work to subvert. We're in the belly of the beast. We are within the confines of the empire. We, first of all, have to stop participating in the U.S. military, which is what drives U.S. Capitalist imperialism. Stop being in the military and then work to subvert the military infrastructure. There are legal means. There are often, what's it, Umar? Why is Dr. Fubar on here?
Because Traore shared a video of him talking about some stuff, but go ahead, finish.
I can't talk with Ubar in my face like that.
What you scared, brother?
I don't want my voice resonating.
Do you got a pink? Do you hide in a pink toe somewhere? You scared Umar gonna come get you?
Oh no. Fubar got a hit list. I'm like way down on Fubar's hit list. He ain't even done away with the gays yet. He's still working his way through the gays.
No, he in solidarity now.
Sexual. I'm a low priority for Dr.
I think he healed from homophobia. I think he.
He has?
I think so. I don't know. I thought I saw some shit, but I don't know. I don't watch the brother. But listen, here you go.
Scared right now. Britain is scared right now because they see Guinea under independent leadership. They see Mali under independent leadership. They see Burkina Faso under independent leadership. They see Niger under independent leadership. They afraid. They scared. They think y'all gonna end up infecting Chad with revolutionary African power. Where my Chadian Africans at? Where my Chadian Africans at? They think you're gonna end up infecting Congo with your revolutionary spirit. They're afraid you're gonna end up infecting the Democratic Republic of Congo with your revolutionary spirit. They're afraid you're going to infect Gabon with your revolutionary African spirit. Turn this into a United States of Africa. And then I want you to have a conference of all African leaders who want to be part of the United States of Africa. African Union is over. It's time for the United States of Africa. I said the ancestors have spoken.
The ancestors have spoken, and the ancestors have said that the African Union is over. It's time for a United States of Africa. I'm calling on the president of Guinea, the president of Burkina Faso, the president of Niger, and the president of Mali to be the first 4 countries to sign on to a United States of Africa. That's what I'm talking about.
I think the community should propose a policy that whenever Dr. Fubar is on camera, he has to do a 360 of the camera before he starts talking. I'm sick of him setting up little Afrocentric, exotic corners in a hoarded house and then going to try to tell us about anything. So I would say I'm not going to watch another Dr. Fubar video unless he completely pans his camera all the way around to show us where he's sitting and what conditions he's sitting in before he come there. You know, because he fooled me once. Shame on you.
So in Mali, there was a UN occupied territory.
Are we just gonna let that stand? We're just gonna put Fubar out there. We're just gonna put.
I mean, Umar is
Fubar to the community and not respond to it.
Somebody told
no, you can't. Ain't somebody. It's you now. You.
What I'm saying, I didn't tell Traore.
I'm just saying. I don't think it's appropriate for us to platform Umar and not respond.
Well, we're responding to what he said right now because this is
are we?
Larger post.
Because I see you scrolling away.
Well, I'm saying this is the larger post. I mean, this post is something that he just tagged because I guess he said his name and he talked about some of the stuff. But particularly what happened in Mali was the UN was occupying a territory that they were forced to remove, and now it's taken over by the Mali government. But in terms of what Umar said, I don't know if he's like, well, I believe he's trying to be an opportunist because I don't think he even shared a politics.
Thank you. I think, yeah, I appreciate that. The fact that Dr. Fubar kind of gloms on to whatever his ideology pretty morphs, and he's rather inconsistent and often contradictory.
Yeah,
and
which is
what disturbs me most about Dr. Fubar is that he does reach some accurate analysis and accurate conclusion, and then infuses it with his megalomaniacal.
But is it a correct conclusion, or is it something that he's repeating for somebody else? Because maybe a couple months ago he was just talking shit about some of these presidents, and now that
exactly, yeah, I think right. I think the opportunism. I think Fubar, you know. He depending on where he is, his position, his point of view, his analysis will be morph or adjusted in order to suit whatever audience or whatever he thinks the audience will be more receptive to, his core audience. I mean, he goes on the Breakfast Club. I mean, he was just talking about that one ball chaser and his what is that one ball chaser and his wife doing OnlyFans. I mean, he
Joe Smith. Yeah,
I don't know.
He's a basketball player, Joe Smith. I think he used to play for Detroit. I don't remember what college team, but there's a video of him and his wife kind of beefing because she said, I don't got enough money, so I started doing OnlyFans, and yeah, so I didn't know.
And what came of Dr. Fubar's meeting with Sukiyana?
I mean, like I said, I thought they together, but I don't know.
No, I don't think they're together, but what the point of it all?
The point of it all is
I think Dr. Fubar kind of chases the spotlight, and
he what?
You just don't read, beloved.
I can't speak to that. I'm not sure about.
I don't know if Umar reads. You think Umar reads? What is he reading? Himself?
Frederick Douglass, his grandfather.
Well, speaking of reading, I wanted y'all to kind of share with the people in terms of maybe some books, some things to read that might have radicalized you and probably impact your politics recently. So like the initial book or books that radicalize you, and then the books recent that strengthen or adjust your politics. What y'all got for the people?
Well, the book that I read that gave me an understanding that I was not an American, but I was actually an African, a member of the African diaspora. And the African diaspora is a distinct cultural, political, historical population. And was the Afrocentric idea. That was probably the first, like, specifically Black books that I read, was the Afrocentric idea by Molefe Asante. And that was probably the book that kind of awakened me, that drove me to start seeking out. Back then, in the late 80s, we used to call it Afrocentricity, but that word has kind of fallen out of favor. But that book kind of opened me to the concept of Afrocentricity, and set me on that path. And even the music, like, I started listening to conscious hip hop exclusively at that point, you know. So that was probably the book that most, and the book I just finished reading was Locking Up Our Own, which
Foreman,
I
Foreman, by
I put the
Foreman,
book
yeah.
down, and you know, it's a prize. It called out some people, like it called out Kwame Ture, you know, for some of his missteps. So, like, a lot of strategies that our people employed, but Locking Up Our Own was what I just finished, and now I'm reading Let Them Eat Crypto, and I'm reading another book written by a good friend of mine called Popcorn, a book on metaphysical spirituality. You know, so that's what I'm reading. I'm reading about medical, physical spirituality, and the crypto scam.
What you got, Skip? What's your?
I will always tell people Asada. I just think that is a foundational text. Ready for Revolution, Kwame Ture and Mike Thelwell, Black Power, Kwame Ture and Charles Hamilton. For work, we're starting to read. I can't think of the name of the book, but like it's about a radical takeover of the House of Representatives. I'll post it in the chat at the end of the show, but it's like it's not here. But it's the guy that wrote the Easy Rollins books. Surprisingly, somebody put bell hooks in the chat. All About Love, I think is good.
I like Teachers to Transgress.
Yeah. All About Love, I think is good. And then this is a very strange one that I don't think I've shouted out before. Blue Like Jazz, by Donald Miller. It's a book about Christian spirituality. Very interesting. It really helped kind of get me a little closer to where I was taught to be. Walter Mosley. Yeah. So and a book that I thought was really fun to read, and I think it's probably the greatest book title ever, John Brown's biography, To Purge This Land with Blood. I love that title, and the book is really good too.
So I've been trying to I don't know if there was what's the show, Nash or something like that. It was like a military show. So I seen people. Yeah, what?
MASH.
Oh, Nash. I don't know. I'm young. I'm only 40. I just turned 40. But
congratulations.
I saw a bunch of people sharing it. It was like, oh, because there was a line that the dude said about war. And then I was like, have y'all ever read Smedley Butler? They was like, no, I don't know who that is. But I've been trying to, I guess, push military people to read that. But there's a statement, and I think it was in the book that we're reading as a collective, Black Power in Palestine, or maybe it was somewhere else. I don't know. But yeah. What's the dude name? Black Panther. Huey was saying that we don't have a culture of readers, and I'm curious, what do y'all think about that? Like, so we in 2023 going into 2024. We have audiobooks, we got YouTube stuff, we got. Do you think we're still in a place where we don't have a culture of readers, being that the literacy rates is hella high in the US? And then what would be the solution or the answer for that? Like, what could we do, or what needs to be done in terms of bringing this idea of reading and the importance of it?
I don't think that reading or becoming will solve anything, because I interact with a lot of readers, and reading is a medium that will give you certain exposures, but I think the more problem is the ability and willingness to think critically. I've interacted with some illiterate critical thinkers that have a better grasp of systems and societies and how to navigate the world than very, very well read, highly exposed readers who don't think critically. So I do appreciate reading, but I don't think it's the lack of reading. I think that's a symptom of a larger problem. I don't think it's the problem unto itself. Having been founded and been a member of several like study groups and book clubs, I mean, I'd sit there and people come in there who've read, and when they start to articulate what they've taken from the text, I'm like, well, goddamn, you were better off before you read that shit, in terms of your understanding. So I think literacy is a good unto itself, whether you're reading for enjoyment and so on and so forth. But for the particular problem that we're talking about, mass delusion, oppression, and things of that nature, I don't think it's just sometimes it's just like you say, you can make we're in favor of people earning a living and making money, but a lot of times people are like, oh, we need more jobs, we need black banks, as if that'll solve the core problem. So literacy, good thing. Literacy should be encouraged. Literacy will bring and broaden an individual's life. Literacy and more reading is not intrinsically or inherently revolutionary.
Anything to
So
add
I
to
just
that?
don't want to oversell what literacy can do for us as a collective.
No, I don't think there's anything I can add to that brilliant commentary from Diallo. I mean, I support it. That's exactly what my position was. I was interested to see where he was going, but he just kept cooking.
So as we start to wrap up, let's go into these super chats. Oh yeah. Well, we actually played some of that video. All right, seems a primary contradiction in how children within it are exploited for the checks their parents. Northwest ain't dealing with pigs. Okay. Skip, you got a shout out for your bars and your music.
Well,
Thanks, Zenzi. Appreciate y'all. Anything else y'all want to say, share? What y'all got going on before we skedaddle?
I saw a bunch of people asking where to get the music, but it said I can't put a link in the chat. So it's Tibbit, TIBBIT.bandcamp.com. So yeah, if y'all want to vibe with it. I will say that I'm debating on starting. This is gonna sound so weird. And OnlyFans or Patreon or something like that. Because I'm still like trying not to keep fueling Apple and all of those things, and I don't know how to do it. So if some of y'all know how that work, you know what I'm saying, hit my line.
Got to scrub my mind of the visualization of a Skip Coon OnlyFans.
Yeah, no, but it'll be.
Let me just. Hey,
I ain't gonna be on that show.
I'll delete my mind real quick. Just give me a moment. I'll be back.
Hey, but I'm not finna you know what I'm saying, be on that showing feet. But I just want to, really like be in control of it. And I do more than music, right? Like I do music, I'm a photographer, a videographer. I have amazing friends, and I just think like the music is one step, but I want you to see all the steps that lead to the music too, right? Like so Let's figure out how to do that. Yo, man, if anybody can find Ira, that is Luca Brasi. If anybody can find Ira, please let me know. I've been looking for that brother. Amazing brother. And I don't think he is. But I will give you one update. Last we talked, he was being an amazing father. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna stop saying things I don't need to say.
What you got going on, Diallo?
I had to stop. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all go download Skip Music. Don't download Atheist. He made a diss track against me. So skip past that one. All the other tracks, I give full stamp of approval. But don't
wait. I'm about to find a YouTube video.
song.
What is it? Where is it at? Where is it at?
That's
I'm about to
slanderous
find
song.
Skip, where is that? What
Other
the
than
link at?
that, you get my full endorsement. But don't nobody stream that song.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, out
Skip?
here sneak dissing. Yeah, out there sneak dissing. And you know, I stepped to him in Kansas City. I checked him, and he backed down. You know, I ran up on him in KC.
Oh, this it right here. We about to play it. Skip, we gonna get copyrights to play.
I just said.
Who gonna stop you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got no law.
Who gonna check you, boo?
You say let's not.
No, I said who gonna stop you? Like, no, you know.
No, I'm saying Diallo say
Sneak
let's
dissing.
not. If Diallo say let's not, that mean do it. So
okay.
Okay.
That's the most non-hip-hop cover I ever seen.
Man, get off this man, yo. No.
I'm trying to get him paid. I'm trying to do what's best for him. That's not
he don't want your money.
I feel like that white lady.
How's about to drop?
God ain't in their cameras and satellites, withholding vaccinations or exploiting water rights. God married Jesus white, make a rapper antichrist. God is love, honor, and accepted sacrifice. So I will love, live, fight, read, speak right. Love of other people, black stars shining bright, illuminating dark night, sky shot, bang, bullet fly. Son, father, brother die, sister, mother, lover cry. I fight the system, y'all justify. I tell the truth with my pen, rappers rather lie. Them wear their masks like Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky. Enjoy the devil pie, I run with rebels, I see freedom in the pupil of the brownest eye. Wonder how Africans saw that Mississippi moaning sky. Then running to the cliff, how am I the only catcher in the rye? I see the truth and the beauty in the stripper thigh. I heard this song, so I asked them why. Say why you feel that it's God's will, you would die. No reply, see him stargazing. Can't hear me cause the music loud and the blunt blazing. He's scared to use the tools God gave him. We all grapes, whether wine or raisins. They gave us Nixon, Bush, and Ronnie Reagan. Back to work, Bernie took me for my savings. I ran hard and can't lift my son out the playpen. This system built these use you up, then it spits you out. Them fire warning shots after they have chalked you out. Them make you slave to give you God. What is that about? Them give you bad map and tell you you can make it out. If Canada is to your north, then you in the south. And you a slave if you in the field or in the house. If Canada is to your north, then you in the south. And you a slave if you in the field or in the house.
Diallo, you got an opportunity to respond with your bars.
Let's not.
I can't rap good.
Yeah, let's not.
I've been trying to rap since 1986. I just ain't been able to find.
Give us your best bar that you made up back in the days, man. Just give us.
Let's not.
Let's see what it is.
Let's not.
No.
Let's not. Listen. That boy is a scholar. He is a reader. He is an atheist, but he is not. No, that's not it.
I wrote poetry.
Listen, we not doing that either. Listen, no.
IJS.
I'm not saying. Listen,
I retired from poetry, like when right after Jay-Z retired from rap. I retired from poetry. So
okay,
but
okay.
I was a poet at one time in my life.
Okay.
Well, take us out. What you got going on this weekend, Diallo?
This week? My birthday coming up, so just my sons and my wife taking me to Ethiopian restaurant.
What you gonna be? 59?
Huh?
You
I
gonna be 59?
wish, man. Hey, listen,
how old,
man.
how old
You
are you?
talking to a brother? I'm 49.
Oh,
So
you talking like you way older than me. You only 9 years older than me, man.
respect your elders, man.
Nah. What's Skip? Skip, you what? 37, 50, 42? No more?
43. 43.
Damn, I'm gonna just keep being the youngest brother on this planet.
And keep dyeing your beard.
I'm not dying my beard, bro.
Keep
This
putting that just for men.
the
Keep
lie.
putting
This
that
vegan-
just for men.
Wait, I got one somewhere.
You
But this
keep
that
putting
vegan
that.
diet, bro. This that vegan diet, bro. I'm sorry.
You keep putting
Drinking water
that
and
just for
salt.
men in your beard. Who you
Nah.
think you fooling?
Duh.
Who you think you?
In fact, my grandfather and my grandmother had white hair, so my joint gonna be like white. So, but when I get there,
Yeah, but I shoot. Vegan diet ain't gonna say I've been a vegan since '92.
you ain't eating the right vegan stuff.
Oh, that's true. That's so true. Boy, let me tell you something. I don't play. My name is Bro Diallo. I ain't got time to play. That's true. I'm like the worst vegan. Yeah,
you know real food out there that come out that
I
earth.
ain't no sage burning vegan. I have to tell y'all, I don't burn the sage, and yeah, I'm not a Sabi vegan. I eat hybrid. I eat seedless watermelon all day. every day.
What?
Hell yeah. Yes.
Whoa.
Because ain't nothing wrong with seedless watermelon. It's convenience. I am a man who has come of expectations of certain levels of convenience and quality.
Maybe it's all your vegan lattes that's got them grades.
Oh yes, soy milk lattes. Let me tell y'all something. I don't play. Oreo cookies are vegan.
So anyway, we
I only get to have those on Halloween, but
the
I
think
can have
tank
some
we're
Oreo.
studying like I said, Black Power and Palestine, the struggle. It's actually very interesting because there's some common threads that's happening. You have the same Black people saying, "Oh, we shouldn't be talking about Palestine. Ain't got nothing to do with us." Then you also got the people who ain't really saying much because of the income or the situation or whatever the case may be. But it's a dope book. So if anybody interested, y'all can come through. But other than that, if y'all brothers don't got nothing else, we can let the people go to their day. We didn't stay 3 hours a day, so I think that was pretty good.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And and as we as far as finding a replacement for Jared, I'd like to submit my vote for Josephus.
So Jared, when you get back, don't come back, brother. It's okay.
Yeah, we don't need you no more. Let me tell you, when y'all brought on JT the pocket watcher to replace me, you know.
JT financial literacy is on point. So we was trying to
when he was talking about buying Jordans and
not that part. Not that
black
part.
people are poor.
He misspoke.
So you're gonna do the same thing
they
do with the Bible. You just look at the
who
good
was
part.
Who was the dude y'all brought on that just went real left? The dude that made the movie about
Diallo homeboy. Diallo.
I liked it, that movie. I just had a few issues. I liked it that.
That was Diallo homeboy.
And then that boy started talking.
I didn't know that dude. Y'all introduced me to him.
Listen, let me tell y'all something. I was watching that live, and when that man started talking, I was like, "Oh boy, this about to be real good. This about to be real good."
I ain't never seen that dude in my life, so we didn't introduce you to him. Me and Jared didn't know nothing about that dude.
I didn't bring that dude on. I take full responsibility for the Black Hebrew Israelite.
Wait, you didn't bring?
Dude. No, I did not. No, you better holler at
you told us about the
Jared's
movie because it was you told us about the movie.
No, I did. Did I?
Oh, yes. I wish
Who
Jared
reached out to dude?
You, that's your guy. You brought him.
I didn't reach out and I didn't invite him on.
I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. I listen, I watch, and boy, some Friday mornings, like it's perfect that y'all on Fridays, because like my day can start a little later, but boy. When I tell you I be rolling and some of these things that be out here, like the Hebrew Israelite guy, I knew where that was going because I interact with them. Like I interact with them regularly. Hilarious. Always gonna have a good time. Yeah. But boy, that dude right there. Whew,
He made a diss record on us, man. He started talking shit about us.
Who?
Right afterwards. Yo, a Hebrew dude.
Well, he said, first of all, he said that Jared was a fellow Israelite.
Yeah.
You and I, we're doomed. But he was like, he literally said to me, I don't know if I should be talking about our DMs, but he texted me and was like, I expected this from you and that other heathen. But as far as Jared, my fellow Hebrew brother, he really he said he's only disappointed in Jared because he expected more from Jared. But as far as us,
you set that man up too.
Huh? No. I've known dude for years. We worked together hand in hand in Kansas City. We organized together in Kansas City. And he and I have had debates online, direct debates, that he said slavery was God's will and slavery was black folks' fault.
Who? That dude?
All Hebrews believe that. All Hebrews believe that our bondage was prophesied.
But see, this is the thing that's weird about it, though. This is the thing that's weird about it to me. How can slavery be God's fault? And we were here before the white people came. Because the Nile River is the Mississippi River, and it's like something else in the Grand Canyon.
That's easy. Let me explain it to you, brother.
Okay.
Bring you into the light. Remember, we were in the wilderness?
Yeah.
That was Africa.
Mm.
So we are native indigenous Moors. we're native indigenous Moors who went on a 40-year journey in the wilderness, which was Africa, my brother.
But
the Africans gathered us up because they knew we were a separate people from them. And the Africans gathered us up because of our failure to hold the covenant. We violated the covenant with Yahweh. So God told the Africans to gather up all the Hebrews among them and sell them to the Europeans and bring us back here as punishment for breaking of the covenant.
What?
Yes. That's what they believe.
What? Hey, actually, did that dude send you some new updated links? Because I was actually about to ask him, like, yo, what should I be reading?
He bombards me with links, man. He sent me this. He sent me this one link about how neurological science has discovered the existence of a soul or a spirit, and how humans have the potential for telepathy, for out of body to send our consciousness outside of our body through transcendental meditation. The dude bombards me with so much, man. Hey, listen, I appreciate everybody who's attempted to awaken me and save my soul, but pace yourself, because I could start forwarding the knowledge to you. So maybe it's something you could do with it. But then that scares me too, because I have a friend who I was reading at the time, the Matu Nater and Ankh-Sur, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. You know, from an anthropological perspective, Egyptian spirituality and folklore and mythology is really interesting. And I mailed my friend this book. I called him. I was like, hey, Troy, check this book out. And I called him like 2 months later, like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, don't call me Troy. My name is Kanifra Amin Abba Asur. And you are an ab man. And just came to this from the stars. So maybe I shouldn't be sending this stuff out because y'all don't know how to handle it.
Whoa.
I just said send me one link. I don't want to hear all that.
Which link? Let me see.
Just send me this later. I just want to see. What I'm
what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna link you with Kwabanahu.
No.
Yes.
I said the link. I don't say link me with him. Never mind.
I'm gonna link you with Kwabanahu.
Never mind. I need one again.
Hey man.
See, that's the thing. You want all the good stuff, but none of the commitment.
Nah. Let's kick it out here, man. Yo.
Hey, man. To the people. All right, right on.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming through.
All right, right on.
So yeah, okay.